All right, so this is the final video of us wearing the same clothes.
This time.
I doubt we're going to wear the same exact thing in another video.
No, and at least nothing coming up because these aren't going with us.
So we are TowawayCouple, Tom and Bunny. I'm Tom, the driver.
And I'm Bunny, the sandwich maker.
And we are giving you our rendition about going into the drive-away lifestyle, towing RVs all over the country.
Correct, because we're doing it from the absolutely beginning.
The very, very beginning. So we've already done a couple videos, and we did our video on DOT physical, which is a little bit lame, but it's a little funny about my donut binge. We talked about the DOT drug test and me taking a oxycodone the night before the drug test and then having to delay it. And now we're going to talk about another DOT requirement. Our registration has to say our truck is capable of pulling up to or under 26,000 pounds, and it has to say it on the registration.
Yes, it does.
So, well, we could have gotten pulled over. So we're in Alabama.
Yeah.
And they're not the smartest people in the DMV out here. I had to actually school them.
A friend of mine says, you must be getting really annoyed at the DMV. Why is it taking so long? And I'm like, because this particular DMV only hires idiots.
Yes. And they want to be know-it-alls. So, okay, so this is going to be a little bit longer podcast. We're going to try to keep it short, so I'll talk a little fast. All right, so the DMVs were all closed a week and a half ago when we were heading to Florida, but we did try to go there. And we went to our local one, and there's a sign on the door that someone tested positive for corona, so they were closed for a week or so. So we drove to another town, and they said, oh, you can only get your stuff done in that one town.
In your county. So we're like, great. So Horizon Transport was awesome. They said, you know what? It needs to be on there, but because of Corona, because of the pandemic, because it's provable, we could still proceed forward, but you still have to have it done. And I'm like, fine, that's good enough. Now, it's something that should have been done in the beginning, but like I said, we went from California to Arizona to Alabama,
right?
And Alabama just
they slaughtered us.
They completely slaughtered the whole registration.
So our registration needs to have my name on it. Now, Bunny's name was the only one on it. And now for me to drive, Bunny's not going to be driving.
No.
So for me to drive, Bunny has to sign a power of attorney over to say that it's okay that the truck be leased to Horizon Transport. But I wanted to make sure my name was on there as well because
well, if anything happens,
my name is on there and we don't have to go through all legal hoops with the police. So we go in there and I tell them first off, my name needs to be on there. Now, they wouldn't let Bunny in there.
No. One person per household.
Mind you, Bunny's the only one on the registration. And I go in and I'm telling them my name has to be on there. And they're arguing with me right from the get-go that they got to get a note from our bank lender because we're making payments that it's okay to add me to the title. I got the bill of sale from the dealership that has all that information with my name as the co-buyer.
Yeah.
Bunny was the primary, I was the co-buyer. And I'm showing them that and they're like, no, we need it from your lender. I'm like, what part of this bill of sale do you not freaking understand? And they're like, well, where's all the information from Arizona? And I'm like, you guys took it. You took everything. We didn't make copies because we were getting a registration
and
here.
She was arguing. She was like, well, no one should have taken that. Well, they did. We don't have it. They took it.
And in the beginning, my name should have been on the registration,
yes.
But it was kind of explained to us only one name goes on the registration, so we believed him, that person at the time. So I told him I have to have 26,000 pounds written on the title, and there's a place in there, not over weight, and then it had a 0. And I said, that 0 needs to be changed to 26,000. And she goes, we can't just override that.
That's a state thing. You got to go to the state and have them override it. I'm like, who do I go to? And she goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, somebody has to be able to change it. There's a 0 in there. And there's a place for it. And she was arguing. Meanwhile, this other girl, all I had was the little registration form. They wanted the full long one, which we didn't have because they tear it off and they take half of it and give you half. So the girl behind the other desk prints up my registration and she cuts off the lady who's helping me and says, well, his name's on this one. And the lady goes, what? And they're looking at it and sure enough, Bunny's name and my name are both on the registration. So she starts yelling at me going, well, how come your name's not on your registration? I'm like, how do I know? I don't know. Your people, you got to deal with those people. You got to go through 3 different offices and none of them communicate.
No, not at all. And it's not like it's in another building. It's literally right across the hallway.
Literally right around the corner and right around the corner. So she goes, well, I'll make the change for you. Like she's doing me a big ass favor. But they're going to charge me.
Yep.
It's not a favor.
Course. Oh,
so
no.
she goes, you have a class 4. And I'm like, I don't know what a class 4 is. She
not
goes,
in Alabama.
Now, mind you, I registered my 40-foot fifth wheel and my truck and my Harley all on the same day. They asked me what the weight of my trailer was. I told them 13,500 pounds. They registered my truck to haul nothing more than between 8 and 10,000 pounds, knowing I had a 40-foot trailer that empty weight was 13.5. And I said, you guys could have got me pulled over.
Yeah, you would have gotten a ticket.
They could have impounded. Mm-hmm. They could have made me disconnect. They could have impounded the trailer, the truck. I was overweight, and I did not know this. So research your registration. If you're pulling your own private trailer or anything, make sure there's no weight limits, or if there is, make sure it matches what you are pulling.
Yes.
I did not know this.
Now, I do know that when we registered originally in California, they ask.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, why do you need to know that? And she goes, because depending on how much weight you pull depends on how much more you pay on your
on the tax on the
tags.
registration. Now in California, my truck was $1,600 a year to register, and I wasn't pulling a trailer at that time. And I told them. Now imagine if I told them I was pulling 13,500 pounds.
Yeah, no.
And they straight up told me if you get pulled over pulling a trailer, that is a huge fine.
Yep.
But we ended up registering it in Arizona, and it was what, 800 in Arizona?
Yeah.
And out here in Alabama, my truck, my 40-foot fifth wheel, and my Harley total out the door was $250 for all of them. Yes. But I found out my registration was wrong.
Yep. It'll be a little bit more this time.
It's going to be a lot more. So she goes, you got to change it from a class 4 to a class 2. And I'm like, okay, what's class 2? She goes, it says that you could pull 26,000 pounds. And I'm like, pulling triggers to my head going, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I was in there for an hour at that time.
Yeah, and I have the lady coming out to me going, he can't get that done. He can't get that done. He has to have a CDL. If he's going to pull trailers in Alabama.
That's way ahead. You're ahead of the game.
Okay.
We're still on.
Was this before I even got in there then?
That was before you got in there. So she tells me it has to be a class 2. And I'm like, whatever it takes. What do you need from me? She goes, well, I need $41. I'm like, here, fine. Take $41. That was a cheap price to pay just to get done.
Kind of sounds like embezzlement.
Right. So, or extortion.
Yeah.
Not embezzlement.
Oh, extortion, yeah.
So she takes me and she goes, okay, you got to sit here. I got to go in there because my name wasn't on the title, but it was, or the registration, but it was on the original paperwork that they submitted over to this other office. So she wanted to make sure everything was clear. I go in the other office and they tell me I have to go through a special license. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Meanwhile, Bunny was in there.
Yeah, they finally let me in because
they were trying to say I needed to go to Montgomery, Alabama, which is a 2-hour drive. The only place I can go is Montgomery, Alabama, and it was going to be a $900 license plate
Right.
And I had to have that I could not pull a trailer with the license plate I was buying.
But they finally let me in because they wanted Tom to originally come out and get me, and then me go in
Without any background.
without any information, and then he has to wait in the truck, and then when I come out, he goes, and finally the lady came out to talk to me, and
that's when she was telling Bunny that I would have to have a CDL, and we're like, the company says Horizon says I don't need a CDL. I just have to have 26,000 pounds on the registration. They're telling me they can't put 26,000 pounds. So they tell me I got to go to Montgomery to get this special plate and every $900. And I'm like, man, I have a lot invested into this Towaway driving already because we're outfitting our truck and getting different things. I got to get an extended fuel tank, mud flaps and fire extinguisher and stuff. So I'm like, whatever, just tell me where I need to go. Tell me what I need. I'm already pot committed. I'm going to do it. And I said, what's the name of it? I want to look it up. So while they're in there trying to call Montgomery, I'm looking it up and I'm like, no. Everything on here, there's 3 requirements and they all were for over 26,000 pounds. So I go in there and I said, hey, look, your requirements on here are for over 26,000 pounds. I need under 26,000 pounds. And they still argued with me. And I was, you know what? I said, they've already done the registration for a class 2. They said it's good for 26,000. Just give me the plate. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
Give me the registration. Give me the plate. And they said, fine. If it's your butt, if you get pulled over. They were just making a big stink of it. And I'm like, whatever. Just give it to me and I'll deal with it. That'll be another $130. So now I'm in it for what, $170 to get 26,000 pounds? And they told me it wouldn't even be on the title, but at least I'd have that class 2 on there. We can look it up online, prove that the class 2 coincided with 26,000 pounds, and I could print that legal thing out and take it to Horizon and see if that would work. That was going to be, and then let them tell me what I needed to do. Because if they weren't going to put it on my registration, I didn't know what to do. And I was even calling Horizon going, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should come out to Indiana because I can't. There's no way. Even if I come back, they're not going to do it.
No. So they stand by what they think they know.
Right. So all of a sudden they print out the registration. I was so excited. I see 26,000 pounds. Miraculously, it's in there. And I'm like, oh my God. I give them the money. I didn't care, the 130. Here you go. Take it. I get my new plate. I get my tag. I get the registration. I go running out the courthouse, go running up to Bunny going, it says 26,000 pounds. And then we look at the registration. It only has Bunny's name on it. Mm-hmm. Again. And it has class 4 on the bottom. But it said 26,000 pounds. So I am just like, this is just stupid. So I tell Bunny, hold on. Let me just go have him just reprint it with the correct information. I go back in the door and I tell him, I'm like, hey, they messed up. It was supposed to have my name on there and it was supposed to be a class 2 and not a class 4. There's like 5 people standing there waiting to go in. She goes, all right, you need to go get in line. I'm like, excuse me? I said, this isn't my fault. This is your guys' fault. She goes, I'm only following the rules and you have to stand in line and you got to be 6 feet away. I was standing, what was I, over an hour?
Yeah,
again.
That second time, yeah. This whole thing took over 3 hours.
Oh, and Bunny doesn't even know it. So I get in there, everyone's gone to lunch and now I get a new girl and she's like, well, you only wanted to say 26,000. I'm like, yeah, but it had to have my wife's name on, or my name on there. And it says class 4 and it needs to be class 2. And she was like, what difference does it make? And I'm like, everything. It makes every bit of difference. And she's like, oh. So she had to get a supervisor. She had to figure out. And the supervisor is like, that license isn't going to work for you. The whole time is arguing. And I'm just like, I just want the freaking name on there. And I want class 2. Just get me out of here and I'll leave you alone. You don't have to be right all the time. Matter of fact, I'll even say you're right. Let me worry about the penalties when I get out of here.
Exactly.
And so long story short, 15 minutes long, verify your registration. It is possible in Alabama to have 26,000 pounds on the registration. When I was looking at Horizon's website, they named like Michigan and Indiana. So I thought not every state had it, because we have a regular driver's license, and Alabama, they say you need a for-hire driver's license, but not every state honors a for-hire driver's license.
Right.
So they have exceptions to certain rules. So that it just goes to show, just do your due diligence. Check your state, make sure that they have a for-hire driver's license. You need to get a for-hire driver's license. But most importantly, make sure your weight on your registration matches what you're going to be pulling. And you want it to say 26,000 pounds.
But you also have to do your own research, so that way if they're arguing with you and telling you that you can't have it, and you're like, but it's on your website that says that I can.
Exactly. So we said start to where we're going. We're giving you every little thing. So,
and it's been a nightmare all the way around. It's been very stressful.
You know, I'll give credit to, there's a couple, I won't name them by name because they don't have a YouTube channel, but they drive for Indiana Transport, and they spent 4 or 5 hours on the phone with us through a mutual friend. That's how we connected. And they gave us so much helpful. Now they're driving a semi, pulling 2 trailers. They started off in the identical truck we have with the identical equipment, doing exactly what we're doing 4 years ago.
Yes.
And so they were really excited for us, and they were telling us how much money we can potentially earn, how we got to hustle and everything. And I'd love to give credit to that nomadic couple. It's the YouTube channel, and it's all spaced out, that nomadic couple. I'll put their YouTube in our description. And I've been emailing them, asking them just stupid, random questions. They did a video on all the requirements, and I was mostly interested in the mud flap because I had one picked out. And I emailed it over to Horizon. I said, will this work? And they said, no, it can't have a slit down it, even if it's only an inch wide. It has to be one big piece. I'm glad I didn't buy it.
Right.
And that mud
It would
flap,
have been a waste of money.
it was going to be $270 from the company. And that was the cheapest one I could find. And then Horizon hooked me up with Dan's Hitch in Elkhart, Indiana, and they're going to charge me $169. So that's $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
And they're going to custom make it to the height of my truck and everything.
It's still ugly though.
But I messaged them and I said, hey, you know, you mentioned the mud flap, and you were videotaping from inside the bed, and your mud flap was on, so I didn't get to see it. He actually went out and took pictures and actually emailed us pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
they've been very, very helpful.
They've been very helpful. We really appreciate them for everything they've been doing. And I know I've been annoying.
All the way around.
All the way around. All right. So we will do our next video while we're on the road.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We leave, what's it now? 7 o'clock now. We're going to be leaving between 2 and 3 in the morning to head to Elkhart, Indiana.
Yep. Another venture, another state we can cross off the bucket list.
Right. So again, I'm Tom the driver.
I'm Bunny the sandwich maker.
And we will see you down the road.